Semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers built for business and powered by Intel Core processors. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more. All with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Again, that's 877-ASK-DELL.
It's 8:08 in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Jim Telemonti.
The inbound Ryan has heavy delays from 31st Street into the Burns Circle. There's a crash just past the circle at Washington. We're looking at a travel time right now from 95th Street to downtown Chicago of 31 minutes. That crash at Washington blocks the left lane. The express lane delay started at Pershing. Northbound Lakeshore Drive is a mess. From the Stevenson to Balbo, 2 right lanes are blocked with a crash and a light pull down. It's 37 minutes, Marquette to Monroe. Inbound Kennedy, 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 18 from Montrose, 14 in the express. The Eisenhower's now 45 minutes, 390 to downtown. Stevenson, 32 minutes, 355 Lakeshore Drive. That's traffic. I'm Jim Calamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Clouds and breezy, snow and sleet, maybe a coating to an inch, high 38. For tonight, snow and sleet this evening, low 33. Partly sunny tomorrow, the high 43. AccuWeather's Minutecast has expanded to 4 hours. Download the app today. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
33 at O'Hare and along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We've talked a bit about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies here, but there's this new iteration of investment. Non-fungible tokens, NFTs. Have you seen these? They've made headlines in the last week or so because of auctions for NFTs, non-fungible tokens, that have been held where a clip of LeBron James playing basketball for 10 seconds goes for like $600,000. It's it's really interesting. So you have essentially, it's like an art auction. And the art you own, you're the official owner of, like
the clip of the shot?
The clip of the shot, for example. It doesn't mean that nobody else can access it, but, in terms of the digital records, you have a property right to that clip.
Oh, my.
And so it just becomes a collectible, I guess. I guess it's a collectible. It's a little bit hard to wrap your mind around, I suppose.
Yeah, because there seems like there's other formats where you can grab that same clip. Why pay for it?
Right. Although, it's like saying the Honus Wagner tobacco card was worth like $500,000. But there are other Honus Wagner baseball cards out there, or there's other versions of rookie cards out there that are collectibles, for example, if you're a sports card collector. So is this that much different? And is it otherwise some sort of indictment of those who have $600,000 to spend on a 10-second clip of LeBron James doing something on the basketball court? Well, for more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Jacob Silverman. He's a writer for The New Republic, the author of Terms of Service, Social Media, and the Price of Constant Connection. Jacob, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
By the tone of your piece, I think you do find something problematic, if not downright detestable, about the emergence of this latest collectible.
Well, I think in some sense people do have a right to spend their money how they wish, but there does seem to be something a little silly about the whole NFT phenomenon. and about paying for these digital collectibles that aspire to some kind of permanence, but if we're really being honest, people probably won't have access to them or be concerned about them in just a few years. And I do wonder what it means about the larger crypto economy and the sort of inequalities in the economy in general, that people seem to have so much money in a time of crisis to spend on what are sort of silly digital collectibles.
Well, I mean, so the income inequality piece of it, and who did well and who did less well in the pandemic, during the pandemic, and the lockdown policies. Well, that seems to be the key, is people were locked down, and we know from the employment numbers. Actually, we were just talking about this with a former Chicago superintendent, school superintendent. We know that the lockdowns have created major job loss among working women, much more so than men. So do we trace back? Do we just lament inequality and decry class and play class envy, just decry the difference, or do we trace it back to policy choices that have exacerbated the differences by limiting the opportunities for those on the lower rungs?
Well, if we're talking about policy issues, I think it's complex, and there's a lot of factors you can point to. I mean, unemployment insurance, which is something I've also written about recently, is been a real key for keeping people above the poverty line during this crisis. But I mean, from my own perspective, I think the lockdowns were in large part a sort of necessary evil, but perhaps they could have been supported by better economic policy. I think what a lot of people see coming out of the pandemic in terms of inequality is that there are billionaires and millionaires who are doing a lot better, but it has been a real crisis for a lot of people in the working classes. And then in terms of how we ameliorate that, or what's really the cause of that, that's where we might differ a little bit.
Well, yeah, we do differ, because going back to this, you don't need unemployment benefits or enhanced unemployment benefits if you're allowed to work, and a lot of people were not, but some people were. And so we decide you're essential. We, the politicians, decide some people are essential and some people are not. And the actual individuals don't get much choice in that, particularly those who would like to work and are otherwise frozen out of work because their business is shut down, in addition to the unprecedented nature of this lockdown in response to the pandemic, never been done before in human history. And it was done sort of willy-nilly, and as you say, appropriately, that it was disproportionately the lower to middle income families that took a hit. And so then the way we remedy this, I guess, if I'm being very generous in applying that term, is that we just pay everybody off. Funny money keeps the stock market frothy, and so those who have investment accounts continue to do well, and Jay Powell's going to use his tools. And then at the lower end, it's just more transfer payments and more forbearance. So everybody gets paid off. We bribe everybody with everybody's money, and we, skip happily along as if there's no consequences to those policies across the board.
Well, I think in terms of who gets paid what in various government relief programs and bailouts, I think that's definitely important to consider. I mean, unfortunately, we've gotten to the point where $1,400 checks, while are both a lot and a little for some people. They're able to help people get through the latest week or month of bills, but they're not really enough to provide people a solid foundation or to bring them back to work. So perhaps we might agree there that the policy has definitely been haphazard, and yeah, I think in some ways our government has been from administration to administration has been making this up as they go along.
Well, tell us how the last year has been good for the tech industry and for the country's elite.
Mm-hmm. Well, for one thing, just being at home for so many of us, we have to depend on these tech tools. So whether it's classic companies we've been used to dealing with over the last couple of decades, like Google or Amazon, and getting deliveries and depending on Google for various services, or Zoom, which is obviously one of the big newcomers. But in general, tech has done quite well. Their employees have been able to work pretty well from home and remotely, and so that's one area where we see kind of a growing imbalance, perhaps, a growing corporate power and growing influence across the economy by the large tech companies who kind of have their way with things.
With respect to going back to like NFTs and cryptocurrency, do you see this as frivolity among the wealthy, or a scam? In other words, is this rent seeking and they're going to in your view, wire cryptocurrency, wire these new collectibles so that they increase in value and they make a handsome profit? Or is it just being frivolous on their part, and then they're subject to the marketplace, and when the frivolity ends, they could be left holding the NFT, as it were?
Oh, I think it could definitely be the latter. I think there are elements of both. You see a couple things. One thing is this is a time of speculation with a lot of uncertainty in the market. As you said, the stock market has done really well during the crisis, probably propped up by quantitative easing and other measures. But now you have people who either have some extra money laying around, or they have a lot of sort of on-paper gains through cryptocurrencies that may be hard to convert into dollars or other fiat money. So, for example, the other day you had this NFT art collection sell through Christie's, I believe, for $69 million.
Right.
And it was paid for, I believe, and it may yet to be announced, but one of the possible methods of paying for it was with the Ethereum cryptocurrency, and the buyer, who they later announced was, I believe, involved in the crypto world. So you do have these people with lots of paper gains that they don't necessarily know how to translate into real cash yet, or they're not ready to. They want to hold on to it in some form. So that's where a lot of the NFT money is also coming from. So it is a kind of silliness, and you think at some point someone's going to be left holding the bag when this bubble bursts in some respect.
But it's so weird. Like the first ever tweet by Jack Dorsey, Twitter's co-founder, sold for $2.5 million. What's wrong with people? Why would you pay for that?
Exactly. Well, I think also that guy who bought it is a cryptocurrency company executive. So for him, it's sort of an act of trolling, perhaps, a bragging rights, but it's also pretty good marketing and publicity. I don't know if it's $2 million worth, but he definitely gets attention out of it.
Well, right. I mean, so people can spend their money that way. I mean, if you believe cryptocurrency is tulip mania, then okay, then there will be a reckoning for people that don't. And if cryptocurrency actually has value, the underlying technology, blockchain technology has value and application, then those who were early adopters are going to do well. I mean, what's wrong with either one of those scenarios?
I don't think either one of those scenarios is necessarily wrong. I think what happens is when you have some of the early adopters start promoting things like Bitcoin or other crypto assets as things that will inevitably go up. And there are various reasons, I think, why you can point to why that's probably not the case. I mean, certainly you can just point back to the housing bust of 2008. I mean, assets don't tend to appreciate forever. And so I think that's one angle that's worthy of critique. And also there is the environmental angle, which is that these assets use a lot of energy, crypto assets and digital assets, and they don't necessarily use it in an efficient way compared to, say, the normal banking or monetary supply. There's a lot more energy consumption per capita or per transaction.
Well, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how long it is before they come up with a regulatory framework to bring cryptocurrency under the regulatory specter of the federal government, and then all of a sudden Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs and the so-called legitimate banking world comes in with their own products, and once they're essentially indemnified by the federal government, they have a regulatory environment that they can manipulate. It would be interesting to see how that all works, and if the same arguments are being made when you have more mainstream financial institutions in this same arena, because I think that's where this is going. And Jamie Dimon's equivocations now on Bitcoin, for example, compared to where he was a year ago, are interesting to note as furtherance of my theory.
Yeah, I think a lot of that will probably come to fruition in terms of the mainstream banking industry is already putting money into Bitcoin, buying it up in big quantities in some cases. Some of the big banks are not so sure yet, but I think you're right that you'll see, as we're calling it, the mainstream banking industry come in, perhaps corner the market in some ways, use the tremendous assets they already have and their connections with government to perhaps establish regulations that help them. So it's going to be an interesting battle on those two sides, and hopefully there'll be some third option available to us for those of us who are not too comfortable with either side winning completely.
Jacob Silverman, writer for the New Republic, author of Terms of Service, Social Media, and the Price of Constant Connection. Jacob, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hey there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. What are you waiting for? Mortgage rates are still at an all-time low. Contact United Faith Mortgage. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I want to tell you about United Faith Mortgage. It's a small family team which allows them to give personal, one-on-one, limo-style type of care. It's run by father and son, John and Ryan, and don't forget John's wife, Denise, or sister-in-law, Barbara. They'll almost certainly answer your calls. So here's the deal. It's a direct lender advantage. What's that? Well, their team is lucky to have a direct lender advantage that allows them to often get you a better rate and save you monthly and lifelong money. And they also pay your appraisal fee up to $500. That's out-of-pocket money that you normally have to pay up front. So whether you're buying a home for the first time or refinancing, United Faith Mortgage is the way to go. Contact United Faith Mortgage at unitedfaithmortgage.com.
United Mortgage Corp, Melbourne, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Vreck, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
How much, Amy, would you pay for an NFT of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion doing WAP, like you saw at the Grammys yesterday?
Oh, did you see that? You probably didn't.
I saw a clip of it after the fact because I didn't watch it, of course, and